Hey guys, Justin Williams back here with College Fishing 101. I wanted to do a really quick 5 things you need to have to fish a kayak tournament, and 5 things you're going to want to have. This is kind of an idea that I was trying to look up when I started out kayak fishing and fishing tournaments, so I wanted to just make a quick video, put it on my channel. That way, if anybody has any questions, I can direct them straight to it. I have to apologize. I got a neighbor over here doing some heavy construction, so you may hear his machine in this video. If I do, I apologize. I'll try to edit out as much as I can. So the first thing that you're going to need when it comes to fishing tournaments, kayak fishing in general, is a life jacket. Not a single kayak association I've been a part of or fished with would even let you on the water without one. If they see you without it on, you're automatically suspended and more than likely kicked out of that tournament trail. You have to have a life jacket. Now, it doesn't have to be something fancy like this. It just needs to be a life jacket that is fitted to you, that will hold your weight up in case you flip. You're out there all by yourself most of the time, you need a safety net. A quality life jacket will go a long way. You may never need it, but if something does happen, you'll have it on and you'll be safe. Second thing you're gonna need is obviously a kayak. Now, the thing's kind of obvious, but I've seen a lot of people try to join. If they fish out of john boats, if they fish out of flat bottom boats and stuff like that, they like only have trolling motors and stuff on it if they're allowed to fish the same way we do. I know some people will allow that. I know some associations will not. The safest bet is just to get you a good quality kayak. That way you ain't got nothing to worry about. Third thing is a hog trough or a catch board, however you want to do it, what you want to call it. I prefer using a hog trough because it's industry standard or association standard, so no matter where you go, a hog trough is going to be approved. A few modifications you need to do to it. You need to darken in your inch and quarter-inch markings. You need to put a sticker on the end, that way we know the fish is all the way against the board. And make sure your board is always clean. You don't want a blurry image or a blurry spot to make a penalty because your board's not clean. Fourth thing you're going to need is some way to store your tackle. I prefer using a Flambeau Tough Crate. I've used milk crates. I see guys use Yak Attack boxes. You can use anything as simple as a tackle, either a tackle box to the back of your kayak or a backpack. You need some way to hold all your tackle. If you've got everything just sitting at the bottom of your kayak, in the back of your kayak, it's really unorganized. And the worst thing you can be on the water in a kayak is unorganized, because then you're going to be moving around, shifting backwards and forwards. You're making your kayak unbalanced, and you might flip. The fifth and final thing you absolutely have to have in order to fish a kayak tournament is either a phone or a camera. We use pictures against our hog trough, and that's how we submit. It's not a catch, keep on a stringer, wait until you come into the tournament and weigh all your fish in. We use, we call it CPP or CPR, which is catch, picture, release. We like to have the fish back in the water within 3 or 4 minutes of us catching the fish. So you need a phone with a good battery life on it. You don't want a phone that's going to die 5 minutes after you use it. You don't want a camera that's only going to take really crappy pictures. You want something that's going to take a good picture, because that, when it comes down to a 1/4 of an inch, is what keeps you in the money. You're going to wish you had a quality board and a quality camera. Now, the 5 things that you're going to want when it comes to kayak fishing. Number 1 is a paddle leash. There's a lot of times when you're catching a fish, or if you're paddling and you want to put to a spot where you set your paddle down, you hook into that fish and your paddle falls out. Now, if your paddle's not hooked up to your kayak, then more than likely you just lost your paddle. You're going to have to use your hands to go get it. A paddle leash goes a long way to, if you're even fishing with one hand or you're working a jig or something and you're using a paddle to hold you still, you set that hook into the fish and you need both hands. You can throw your paddle overboard, you know it's going to sit there right beside you, and you can keep on fishing and reeling that fish. Second thing that you're going to want, more than likely, is a depth finder. Now, it's not necessary when fishing kayaks because you're not moving fast enough to really use the side imaging and charts and stuff like that effectively, but it is something nice to have. When you're fishing deep lakes and you want to know how deep you are, you want to know how deep you're fishing, a depth finder can go a long way. You don't have to get anything fancy. I use a small Garmin but it gets the job done. It tells me how deep I am. It tells me what the bottom is, more importantly, and it kind of gives you an idea of where the fish are going to be. Third thing you're going to want is a set of fish grips. I use Rapella fish grips. You can get these anywhere, more than likely a Walmart, a Cabela's, a Bass Pro Shop, anything like that. It's just something that when after you catch a fish, you can put it in the fish's mouth, lock it, throw it back overboard, back in the water. That way that fish stays next to you, stays hooked up to the boat, and you can get out your board and your camera and everything. You don't have to worry about that fish dying. You don't have to buy a pair of fish grips. The metal stringers that people use, the ones with the hooks on them, you can take one of those off, tie a piece of fishing line to it or a small rope or something, and that can be your third fish grip. But these come in a lot more, they're a lot handier than a lot of people think. So, fourth thing you're going to want is a net. I can tell you how many times I've been trying to catch a fish and I didn't have my net on board, and I'm trying to boat flip a fish into the boat, and it's a big difference between a kayak compared to an actual boat, because when you're trying to get that fish up, you got your entire rod hung over and you're at level with the fish, so it kind of gets everything. It kind of gets scary if you're afraid you're going to break your rod or your line or something like that. A quality net goes a long way to just helping you land those fish. And I don't have it out, but the last thing that you're going to want is a lunchbox or some kind of cooler, because when you're out in the water for 8-9 hours during one of these tournaments, you can get thirsty, you can get hungry. If you've got to paddle all the way back to your truck to grab your meal, if you're 2 miles away from where you launched at, that could be easily a 45-minute paddle just to get your food, you eat and come out. I keep a small lunchbox. It's actually in the house right now. I keep a small lunchbox in the front of my kayak when a space that doesn't get used. That way, if I ever get thirsty, I need a water, I need to rehydrate, it's right there in front of me. I don't have to paddle out and get it. Well, guys, that's the 5 things that you're going to want to have for your kayak, and the 5 things that you absolutely have to have when it comes to kayak fishing tournaments. Anything else you see is really just people getting extras attributes. You can go in there, you can get rod leashes, you can get fancier life jackets, you can get fancier crates and tackle storage systems, but all you really need is those 5 essential things, and those 5 things you might want to get to fish your first kayak tournament. Like I always say, like, subscribe. Thanks for enjoying the videos. I'll see you all next time.